Good morning and welcome to the Crestwood Library monthly card making class. And I am Dee Tollickson, and I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator. So I'm here to show you how to put together some cards that we made for April 2021. And I see that my faithful followers are here, the folks that are available to watch live. So there's my mom, and there's our friend Jan, and I'm going to try to get us tuned in on my iPad so that I can continue to watch this while you are adding any comments or any, let's see. I have it tuned in now. You can tell because suddenly there's an echo, right? Okay, so it's a wonderful, beautiful, sunny day outside. It's still a little chilly. It's normal April weather, and I'm glad to be enjoying a little bit of sunshine and a little promise of summer and outdoor activities coming. I really loved Easter. It was beautiful outside, and we were able to have a few family members over and sit in the yard and play games and enjoy the spring. So every day that I can look out my window and I don't see snow and I don't see snow plows out there, I'm a happy camper. So today we're going to make 4 cards. I'm hoping that you were able to get your packets from the Crestwood Library, or if you are just watching like my friend Denise, if you're watching because you are an avid card maker and you just like to see the samples and the different things that I make for my other classes that you can't attend, welcome. I'm glad to have you here. Crestwood Library is actually quite far from my home, and it's very close to my mom. So this class is kind of dedicated to Mom because I wouldn't have this opportunity. I wouldn't know all you fun folks if it weren't for her living in Crestwood and being a card maker, and the Crestwood Library giving us the opportunity to offer these card classes. So I have the table covered with the cards, so I'm going to turn my phone so that you can see the table and say good morning to the people that I know are here, like Tyler and Denise and Dolores and Rita and everyone else who's tuning in. So thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us every month on a faithful basis. Let's see if I can get the camera up a little higher so that you can see woo! All right, try to get it tight in all the places. And maybe I'll just move my table so that we can see better. All right. Is that, I don't know. There, maybe, come on, camera, stay there. All right. It gets a little weird lighting situation going on, but I think that's good. I think that you can see everything, and I will follow along, and if there's anything weird happening, just comment and I will try to fix it. So these are the 4 cards you got. And as we come out of this pandemic, those of you who are not able to get card kits, or who there weren't enough card kits. I know this month they ran out of card kits. So if you ever want to have a private class, or have friends over and have a class at your house, or if you belong to a different library that would like to do a program, just leave me a message or send me a text. I am in business. I want to do these classes and see you and meet you and have fun crafting together. So thank you for being a Crestwood Library card class member, but remember, there are other ways to do this, and I would love to have you participate. So we're going to start out with this nice Slice of Happiness card, and I am got to put on the glasses so that I can talk and demo at the same time. So what I want you to do is get your pineapple out and cut it out, and yep, it's 2 pieces for some of you. Maybe I stamped them nice and close together and you don't have to separate them, but mine is 2 separate pieces. So I have the green fronds at the top, and I have the Calypso Coral, I think is the color, official color that I used. So I cut a little bit of it ahead of time. And I know some of you, I'm talking to Rita here, I know some of you have already made your cards. So the fussy cutting must not have thrown you over the edge, but this is just a little bit of trimming away the white. And the way that the card is put together, we have this piece of fruit is on white panels. So even if you don't cut it close or you don't cut it super duper detailed perfectly, it's going to be on white. So you won't see any imperfections, which is a beautiful way to put a card together. Good planning. All right, I'm going to fold my card on the score line, and it's giving me a little bit of a fight there, so maybe that score line wasn't made perfectly. So what you do is just get this edge flat down and kind of roll it out, and then score from the center up and down so that you get your fold kind of straight. So as always, you can use whichever side of the designer series paper you prefer, and I know you've got a variety of different, each person might have a different color of paper than I have, but they coordinate nicely and they will all match with your little pineapple. Some of you got stripes, some of you got dots. I have this like schmear. And we're going to just adhere that to the card. And as usual, use whatever adhesive you have in your collection. You're going to have, you can use double stick tape. You could use the tape runner like I have. You can use liquid glue, whatever you've got that is your favorite. That's what you should use. So I'm going to, look, there's like a splitch, something bad on the face of my card. But because I'm putting that pineapple over it, I don't really care. No one's going to see that. So I'm putting my nice white panel with my sentiment on it right in the front of that card. Then I'm taking my pineapple and I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of it. So I'm hoping that you find a little piece of dimensionals in your packet that you can use to pop up your pineapple. I'm using the black ones just so you can kind of see where I'm putting them or that I'm using them. Now you don't have any, you lost them, you used them all on a different card, whatever. You can just glue this down. Nobody's checking your work against mine. This is one of my favorite things to tell my customers when they're here or when I'm there. Nobody checks your work and nobody compares it to mine. So don't feel like it needs to match perfectly. Do whatever you want to do with it. I know my friend Susie, who may be joining us today, I don't know, but Susie she has a corner rounder punch. She will take the corners off of everything. She makes them all round because that is what pleases her. And I love that she does what pleases her. So feel free to modify, mix and match, do what makes you happy. So the next card is another, we use a lot of designer series paper, and that's because we're not together, so we can't do a lot of stamping. So when we get to stamp together again, it's going to be a happy day for me that I can do more stamping with you. But there's nothing wrong with designer series paper. It's just, it's just that that's what we're using right now, right? So I want you to take this little white panel here, and I want you to lay out your little strips of paper, and I think we all have the same ones. So they're the same but different, and you can lay them out however you want. You could do all, what do I want to say? You could do all non-floral, or you could do all floral if you prefer. So lay them out how you like them. Figure it out, and let's see. No, I can't figure out where I had them. This little stripy one goes at the bottom. But I want you to take note of how much space you have at the top and on the sides, right? So that when you start adhering them, you don't end up running off of the page or leaving white gaps in between. It should be cut so that you have a pretty even, the left and the right should match, and you should have just a little, 1/8 of an inch at the top and the bottom. Okay. All right, then we're going to just adhere them one by one so that we can line them up against one another. So I'm looking at my screen to make sure that you can see what I'm doing. So this is pretty even over here, it's not straight at all on the bottom, but it's not going to matter. We can overlap, we can draw the eye away from that. Just make it work for you. So because I know it's uneven, if I keep going with it, I'm going to end up off the page as I go up here. So I'm going to overlap a little bit on the left to try to kind of straighten it out, and not as much overlap on the right. We'll see how it goes here. And these are just, you know, if you have different designer series paper, this one is a beautiful one. I really like it. But if you have other paper, because you're a crafter, you're likely to have other paper, use that. Use what you've got. Enjoy the things that you've purchased and that you like, and make it work for you. All right. That panel, that white panel is going to go on this black panel. So do you want me to tell you? This one is 4 by 5 1/4. This one is 4 1/4 by 3. So the nice thing about being 4 1/4 is that means it is, you can cut your white paper right down the center the long way, and then you get 3, 6, 9. You'll get 6 of these. It's out of one sheet of white paper with a little bit of a scrap to make your sentiment. So sometimes I actually plan these things and they work out. It's very exciting. And then this is 4 1/4, also 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So it is a half sheet of 8 1/2 by 11 paper. And you can tell I've got a little pet hair there. Dog is probably downstairs staring at his food bowl because it's getting close to lunchtime for him, in his mind anyway. Got to be ready just in case somebody comes into the kitchen and wants to feed him. Right, so there's the basic card. Then I gave you, you might have thought this was just some kind of random piece of thread that got shoved into the envelope, but it's not. It's actually on my card, and I'm going to show you how I use it. So I've got this very thin black thread. I'm going to wrap it around my fingers 4 or 5 times. I think I gave you 4 to 5 lengths. So you just wrap it around your fingers a couple times. And, oh, I know I put on your sentiment. Well, most of you anyway. Let's see, a little piece of double stick tape. So this is our Terran tape it's called. And I put this little piece on the back of your card. I did not put the dimensionals on yours. You have the little tiny sheet of dimensionals. But I did put this little piece of Terran tape on the back of your sentiment. So what you need to do is, starting here, is pull that off. Just, there's a wax paper backing to it so that it's not sticking to everything in your packet. So you're going to pull that little piece of wax paper off. You're going to take this loop of very thin string, and I turn it so it's like a figure 8 now. So then I'm going to stick the center of that 8 onto the Terran tape, so that what you end up with is some of the string coming out each end of your card, of your little panel. Then you can just kind of separate those loops, just stretch them out, make them have their own personality, and just adds a tiny bit of texture and detail to your card. Now, I'm not loving these ends. I don't want the straight ends. I'm going to cut that off. But you do whatever you want. You could cut them all so they're all stray ends. That might look nice. I like the loops. All right. So then you're going to put your dimensionals on there and remove the wax paper and put it on your card. Don't obsess about it. And if you don't like it, leave it off. I won't be offended. Just leave it right off. And even once it's stuck down, you can really pull them apart so that they have, each one has its own space to live in, right? So it just adds a little dimension, a little something going on the card. All right, folks, we are 2 cards done. So put that one aside. And now for the bright pink card. Man, oh man, it is really a bright one. So this was a little bit more, engineering to design this card. So what you've got in your packet is this piece of pink cardstock with a score line down the middle and this triangle piece over here. And literally what I did was make a square of cardstock and cut it point to point so that I could then I put double stick tape on the back of it. I laid it on here and put it on my scoreboard and scored it right there. So, because I had to make a bunch of them, right? I had to make 20 plus so that I had them. I had a sample and all 20 of you got your packet. So this helped me make sure I was doing the same one over and over on everyone's card and that it was going to work right. So you need to fold on your center score line, and then you need to fold this one down to the front of the card. So make sure that, if you fold it inside out, that's going to be on the bottom and go the wrong way. So you have to be sure that you're folding it the right way. And this might be the time when you can't bury the bump. Maybe I have scored it wrong for you to bury the bump. I'm not sure. But you definitely want this fold to be on the front of the card. And then you're going to adhere your little black panel. And this is also a little tricky. You want to be sure in your mind that you block out half of this black panel. Let's do this so that you can see the panel. There we go. So you're going to put adhesive like one corner. So that from this corner to this corner, there's no adhesive. See what I'm saying? Only adhesive here. Woo, get out of the way. All right, so here is the front of your card, and you want that sticky corner to go onto your card front. All right, so then I was like, this card has got a life of its own, and I'm not sure I want that. So I went back in and I put adhesive onto this pink triangle. And here you have to be careful. You kind of have to lift it up so that you don't break this. But you want to put that down. So there's our card so far. Then you have this little cutie patootie that has a big flower stamped on it. And you need to get out your tools, figure out what you've got. Do you have a sponge dauber? Do you have a blending brush like this? Do you have those old blending, the Tim Holtz blending little dauber kind of circle things, or a marker or a crayon or your watercolor set? Whatever works for you. I'm using the blending brush because it's kind of new and trendy, and I'm just putting some random color on here. I mean, it's a bright pink. It's not random. It's Magenta Madness, but I'm going to put it randomly on the card so that I just add a little pink to the center of these flowers just to brighten them up. I've got pink going all over the place, and I just don't care. I'm okay with that. So we have some dark pink in the center where it would be kind of darker, and we have some light pink on the edges, and we have it just going right off the flower, but it's all good. So Magenta Madness is our color today. And now we have this whole black piece to put this on, so we can put the adhesive over the whole entire back of this. Wherever we want, you know, it doesn't have to be too much or too little, whatever works for you. And there we go. So I think that what I gave you says Happy Mother's Day. And if you don't need a Mother's Day card, you already have one or whatever, you can flip it over and use your stamps or your handwriting or whatever to put something different on there. So I have, on mine, I've put Let's Cheer You Up. So that goes on the front of my card. And there we are. Nice bright spring flowers and Mother's Day card or a get well card or just a thinking of you card, right? Okay, so I'm hoping that didn't scare you off. I'm hoping that didn't look too hard, because making it for you was pretty simple. The only hard part for me was getting that diagonal fold perfect. You know, scoring it. Scoring it was a little bit, you know, tricky. You had to really keep your wits about you and focus on what you were doing. All right, so here's the elegant card for today. I'm hoping that you really like this. I've been trying to get all the pieces together and keep it in my mind, and for whatever reason I would order the copper metallic paper, and then I wouldn't have enough of this fancy designer series paper, and it just was a goofy project. So anyway, it's finally all together, and even though it's kind of a fall color, I think it's so elegant and beautiful that it doesn't matter. So if you look at the back, it does have acorns and leaves and fall colors for sure, and that's okay. We're not showing that. We're just showing this beautiful rust and copper, and it's kind of masculine, but it's just lovely. So that's going to be our final card for today. I'm going to fold my base, and oh, did you hear that? I think that my Amazon package was just delivered, and I'm going to then work on the copper panel. So kind of lay them out. I like to lay them out and make sure, because what if I cut one piece wrong? You got to just adjust. It's not like the end of the world, but you want to plan for it. So these pieces were run through an embossing folder and my die cutting machine to give them texture. So I want them to line up across the top, on the left, on the bottom. So there we are with my plan. And now I just get out my adhesive. And you know how I love the metallics, but they are kind of slick. So you do need to give it plenty of adhesive. Make sure that you're giving it enough adhesive to hold everything together. Lining up the top, lining up the side, trying to get them so that they're pretty even, pretty accurate, and well adhered. I'm not seeing any comments. Everybody trying to follow along? Are you watching, or are you crafting along with me? I think that I have the comments on. So just a quiet group today, just listening to me talk with my nice Midwest accent. I hear myself saying, I'm gonna, instead of I'm going to. And I think, should I go back and fix that? Should I explain what I'm gonna? I think you all speak Midwest with me, right? You understand when I say I'm gonna? Okay. So I'm going to adhere this last piece. I'm trying to line it up here, line it up here. And then I have my copper scalloped oval and my sentiment on a non-scalloped, on just a regular oval. Put that on here. And if you have any dimensionals left, you can put dimensionals on this. If you don't, no worries. Just glue it onto your card. No big deal. Okay. We're almost done. And again, do this however you want. You could do it this way, make it a side, a horizontal card instead of a vertical card. Maybe we'll do that just for fun. Show how you can modify it without really even any effort. No effort whatsoever. Make the card a whole different creature than mine. Make sure your opening is where you want it. And adhere your panel to the front of your card. Now you are all set. So you have 4 fabulous cards for April to send out. And heartfelt, again, if you didn't like that, you could just have flipped this little piece over and written whatever you wanted on there, or stamped with your stamps on there. So we have our heartfelt copper colored card. We have our Mother's Day card. You've got your pretty designer series paper card and your sweet little pineapple card. So I hope that these all went together nicely for you. I would love to see pictures of your cards, what you've made, if you've changed anything, especially if you have any questions or you want to schedule a workshop of your own and have some choice over what the cards are going to be, a little bit. We'll talk about it, and certainly we can have whatever occasions or sentiments you want on them. And if there's any other libraries out there that need a card making class, I'm available. Let me know. All right, leave your comments, leave your thumbs up, your hearts, share the video. I'd love it if you'd share the video so that other people get to see it. And in May, we are hoping to have a small in-person class at the library, plus the virtual class on Facebook. So we're going to have packets that you can pick up and you can register for in-person or virtual. So spread the word, let everyone know. I think we're still going to have only 20 people total between the 2 events. But if you were unable to get a packet, let the librarians know we need a few more, or that you want to make a reservation ahead of time. Please communicate with them so that they know what's happening, how you're doing, and let's see if I can turn this back on me. And there you are. Oh, glare. And I will see you in May, and I may see you in person. That'll be so exciting. Okay, folks, I'm glad to see you all there, and I'm glad to be making cards with you. This is so fun for me. I hope it's so fun for you. Leave us a comment, and we'll definitely get back to you if it's a question. All right, take care.